Yo, what's going on, y'all? Let me turn it down. Let me turn it down. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Three Jerks presents Ron TMC. Ron TMC with my boy Marcus. I'm about to bring him up, bring him out. What up, boy? What up? How you doing, brother? Hey, we gonna get into that.
How I'm doing. That's well, you know, I was about to say that's an understatement, but it's an emotional high with the Bears and an emotional low with the White Sox and my boys out. So I'm having an imbalance right
now. Well, we're about to bring Tim in the building because we're about to kick this out because it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to talk about with this Chicago sports. What's up, Tim?
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
We doing good. I'm doing good.
Big Tim.
What's up, Marcus?
You got it, man.
Cut it down just a little bit. Let me cut it down just a little bit. Okay, we good. Okay, so man, it's a lot been going on, man, with this Chicago sports, man. I mean, we're going to get into the Bulls of them making the playoff and how they looking so far. Also, going to talk about what Marcus just talked about was the injuries to the Sox and the Cubs. It's up and down. It's a seesaw battle, you know what I'm saying? And neither one of them is looking dominant, you know what I'm saying? And also, the grand finale, which I said before, is to talk about the Bears and the draft pick they did. Finally. But we're not going to talk too much about the Bulls or the Sox or the Cubs because it's all about the Bears. So, but before we kick everything else about the Bears, let's go into and talk about the Bulls. What's going on with the Bulls, fellas? What are you guys saying was wrong with this team?
Tim, you take the first stab at that, man.
Man, a lot to do with missing, you know, the number one player on the team and Zach LaVine. Ever since he's gone out, they've looked stale. Even before that, like they were kind of, you know, back and forth with. We understood that we're given the leeway of, you know, being the first time that these two were together, playing on the court together. They're getting comfortable. But then as soon as Zach went out on this protocol, it's looked bad. You know, you can't, you know, it's hard to point your finger where you go with this. Is it point guard play? Is it bench play? Is it all around coaching? I just don't know. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we were all happy and we're talking about playoffs. Now we're sitting back and we're thinking about how the hell did we get into the top 4 for draft picks?
Yeah, what you think, Marcus?
Man, I can only echo what he said. I mean, there's no silver lining to this unless you just want to look forward to next year. The part of the conversation nowadays is Donovan the issue, and I don't think that he is, because anytime you can change the culture, that's a bonus. That's a plus, huge plus, and particularly from the coach we had last year, who again showed remain nameless. Then we got Brown, Tice, Vooch, guys who, if we probably had during preseason, during training camp, we probably would have had a better start. We lost a ton of games by one point. We gave games away. I just think that we would have so much more momentum, because you remember when the blockbuster deal was done, we lost like 5 straight. And it's more so, and even since then, Zach played in games where he was injured, and this was before he came out.
Yeah.
Come to find out that he's hurt, and he missed like 10 games and went on a horrendous losing streak with him. So the last game we played, he and Vooch were out. So much can be attributed to the injuries, trying to get the chemistry back.
Yeah.
So you just didn't know that they fall off this bad. I don't think it's right now. I don't think it's a Billy Donovan issue. I think Billy Donovan is good for the culture and for young players. You remember that this team, for the most part, is built through the draft. And what was Billy Donovan successful at? College kids. He has 2 championships. So I don't think it's a Billy Donovan issue as much as injuries, or guys playing through injuries and then becoming on the injury list, and then chemistry. So I think you can legitimately say next year will be better. We have 2 All-Stars. That's not going to change. We have 2 All-Stars. The talent is there. We just have to find our way again.
I also think, I mean, I wonder with this team, is it really designed to need, and they do need a point guard, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that's the biggest issue right now, that can't nobody give Vooch the ball in the post, or even with the pick and roll type of thing, you know what I'm saying? When they do the pick and roll, for some reason, neither the point guards, Kobe White or Sato, could play the pick and roll or even do the pick and roll to me good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that point guard position has to be addressed, and I think it's going to be addressed. But where we go with it, who we going to get to run this team, to run this offense? You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely need a point guard. So I think we really got to go. And I'm not talking about no second, no third tier point guard. We need whoever is the hottest point guard out there, or next to. What you think?
I think what we, in the purest definition of the word or the term or the position, point guard, that's what we actually need. Like, we don't need a combo guard. We don't need actually don't think we need a superstar. With this team, the way it's constructed with the shooters, with Kobe White, Zach, with Vooch, you need someone who is serviceable to good. You don't need Russell Westbrook. You don't need a Chris Paul, but you need a Chris Paul-like guard. You need a guard in that image and only in that mode. You need a Chris Paul, whether it's Ball or Marcus T 10 years ago. Which one was the better T? Was it Marcus or
Jeff?
It was Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff T was the better T. Yeah, Marcus T, we had him. We don't need that. You need the better T type player to run this offense. A guy that's going to be a pass first guard, because you got between Zach and between Vooch, you have 54 points a game.
Yeah. That's
a lot of scoring. Kobe White gets the ball. He's best when he's shooting off the pass. You get Kobe White, that's 17, 18 points per game off the bench. That's very Benny Johnson-like. If you get Patrick Williams should be better next year. I look for Patrick Williams to average around 15 to 17 points next year. He should be there, because to me, he's better than Jimmy Butler year one. Not now. Physically, he has more than what Jimmy Butler had. Jimmy Butler averaged 2 points a game. So you look for him to build off those talents, so he gets a mulligan this year. So with all the components that we have, you only need a pure point guard. What's his name? I shouldn't say what's his name when you're doing an actual show, but I forget our starting point guard now.
Sato.
Serviceable, but he's a second string point guard. It's been determined. He's good off the bench. That's what we need coming off the bench. He's not a good starter. But once we right that ship, I think we'll be right there contending for the playoffs.
What you think, Tim?
I agree with what Marcus was saying on that one, because I agree we don't need that superstar point guard. We already have the scoring with Levine and Nico, and he's right. Patrick Williams, I don't know. He started off the year like he was ready to go. Now it's kind of looks timid, like he's holding back. Like, again, I don't think he wants to step on the toes of anybody. But it's like, if you want to be a superstar in this league, which, Jimmy Butler did when he was here, is he knew he didn't have Derrick Rose. He knew he didn't have the guys, so he took that reign upon himself and said, let's go do what we need to do. I think Patrick Williams is a little timid, but he's a guy that you know what he can do when he can do it. Kobe White gets his hot streaks. Sato, I agree. He's a guy that fills in nice. Temple plays some decent defense. But even the last couple of games, Temple's looked pretty bad on defense. Like, I don't know if he's still hurt. He's fatigued, whatnot. But, I think Troy Brown Jr., I haven't seen him lately. He's out too.
He's out.
And then, that takes place. But I agree. You need a point guard that's going to facilitate, that's going to be able to set up Levine, set up Nico, set up Williams and stuff like that. And still at the same time, I'm not asking for 25 and 11 a game. If you can get a point guard in here that can give us 14 and 9 or 8, I think that speaks volumes, because now you know that you're going to have to double team Nico and you're going to be double teaming Levine. If you can get a point guard that can set up those two other players to get buckets, I think that takes so much pressure off those two. And then when it comes down to crunch time, Nico and Levine can take over games and not have to worry about, well, I got to get double teamed. Now you're walking into Chicago Stadium where you got a point guard dishing out averaging 8 assists a game, and he's putting up, 12, 14 points a game, so you have to watch him. But at the same time now is he's getting everybody else involved, and that's where teams are scary, because you're walking in and you're watching your superstars. Everybody talks about the teams having the big three. Why not have the big 5 where you got to come in and not worry about 2 or 3 guys? You're worried about 5 guys now that are putting points on the game on the board, and you have a point guard who's facilitating to these guys and getting them the ball in space where they can create their own shot, drive to the basket, down low, instead of worrying about Kobe White running through picks and trying to hit layups. And it's like, we watch him do it, and sometimes he succeeds, but at the same time, we also see Nico cutting to the basket, and it's like Kobe White doesn't want to give him the ball. And it's like, come on, you got to get over that, bro. Like, he's an all-star for a reason. So, again, it's I don't know the point guard you go after, because in a dream world, maybe Chris Paul, but but you need a facilitator out there.
I want to just add on to what you're saying. When Vooch is cutting, you're right. It's not Kobe White that's passing the ball to the back door. It's Thaddeus Young.
Yeah,
that has to change. You know what I mean? Thaddeus Young is our actual purest point guard that we have. But I also like the point you gave, Tim, when you said, why not have a big 5? Because as I recall, there was a big 5. There wasn't even a big 5. There was a 5 that beat a big 2, 2004 Detroit Pistons versus Shaq and Kobe. I mean, they beat them 4-1. Yeah. And they had it from in all 5 positions. They were defensively sound. And that's another thing we got to become.
Yes.
Got to become defensively sound. And then you have to have that Chauncey Billups type point guard who can shoot, but he's going to get guys involved. That's the thing. And I guess it's a work in progress. You assemble the talent first, and then you change the schemes, and maybe that's what comes next year.
Well, and see, what you guys are asking for, the 14 and 9, the 14 and 8, guess who's averaging that right now? That Derrick Rose. I don't want to keep on bringing up Derrick Rose, but he's I mean, for what the Bulls money they have right now, getting Alonzo Ball, which a lot of teams will be going after that point guard, like New York, because New York is going after them. I don't know why, because they already got a point guard, not in Rose, but they drafted a point guard, I think. You know what I'm saying? But they in a hunt for Ball. I think Rose is the ideal point guard for the Bulls, because he's not the man. He came in the league knowing to set up players. He wasn't a scorer. He had to score with the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? And he still got that dog in him.
I don't think Lonzo Ball is the New York type of point guard that Tibbs is looking for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Tibbs is looking for a point guard, like you said, like Derrick Rose, who can facilitate, can play defense, and can be a leader when he needs him to be a leader. Lonzo Ball is still young, and he's more of a razzle-dazzle. I want to get guys involved, throw some nice, alley-oops to somebody, and make some nice passes, and then he can score a little. I just don't see him fitting into New York's state of mind with how they're playing right now. They're sitting at a 4 seed, moving up to a 3 seed, with Derrick Rose doing what he's doing. And I think that team right there is a Jimmy Butler type player away from being an upper echelon team in the East, because you look at it, you look at it, that team has a bench mafia just like the Bulls. When Tappinen comes in and all those other guys come off the bench, and if they can get a guy that can produce a 2 guard like Jimmy Butler, because RJ Barrett's a 3, and he's dazzling right now. Julius Randle is putting up MVP type numbers right now at the 4, and he's a stretch 4, and they're doing it without a legit big man. and they have one in Mitchell Robinson, but I think he's hurt right now. But if they can get a 2-guard, that team's very scary next year.
And see, that's why I mentioned. I mean, because New York, on paper, if you look at the New York and the Bulls, you would think the Bulls should have a better record than them.
Oh, without a doubt.
But then Derrick Rose came in, got traded to New York. He got their mindset. Maybe they're amazed with playing with him or having fun playing with this guy.
But to be fair, and Derrick Rose with that leadership and coming off the bench, that's a good part of it. But what you're seeing is Tibbs. I don't care what people say about him running players into the ground. Whether I don't even know how to scientifically prove that or statistically prove that, numbers, analytically. I'm not smart enough to know that. But I do know that when the Bulls had Keith Bogans as a starting 2-guard, for 2 years in a row, the Chicago Bulls had the best record in the league. Do know that the New York Knicks, who hasn't been any good since their championship appearance in 1999, has come to this franchise and has completely turned them around. You talk about culture.
Marcus, he got booted off. He got to come back on. But I mean, we touched on the Bulls or whatever. And we're gonna. I mean, it's a lot to talk about with the Bulls or whatever. And we're gonna get back into them because the season's still going on. We didn't get into the part of them. Is it worth them making the playoff or not? You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll get into that. Definitely get into that next week. Get into that next week. Let me hit Marcus up and tell him he can't. He went off or whatever. So hold on 1 second, Tim. Okay, I just texting you back. I'm texting you, let you know you had went off. Hold on, where you at? Okay.
Sorry about that, fellas. I don't know if it's the strength of my internet. I don't know. My apologies for that. You guys out there listening. I think I'm talking about the Knicks. What we do know is that well, getting back to the Bulls, we touched on before that Billy Donovan has changed the culture. I think when Tibbs get to a franchise, unless you're Minnesota, they're going to suck regardless. You see a change, and he implements defense. Just see it, and that's what's happening right now. I mean, the Knicks, 6-7 games over 500. That's the Tibbs way, man. You can't if you win because this league doesn't play defense. So all you have to do is play a little defense. But with Tibbs, you don't get on his floor unless you're playing good defense. So that's right there. You have to be a defensive team. You're going to win some games in a league that don't play defense at all. So I think what you're saying is you're better than Chip with Rose, but Tibbs is probably even more of the reason why they're successful out there.
I think the personnel got to buy into Tibbs because I mean, when he was with Minnesota, Minnesota wasn't even playing like this. You know what I'm saying? And maybe because they're on the West or whatever, you playing up competition or whatever. But
I think it shows you more than when he was with the Bulls. He got everybody to buy into the system. He went to Minnesota. Yeah. I think the issue was Karl Anthony Towns was lazy. Yeah. And I think he didn't buy into the Tibbs system. And then as soon as Tibbs got over to New York, he got those guys to buy in again. And look who he brought in. He brought in Derrick Rose and Gibson. And those are guys that understand the role. And then he got these younger guys to buy into these roles. And now and to get Julius Randle, who we all know in the past, Julius Randle was one of the laziest guys out there. He could score points, but he was a turnstile down on the other end and playing defense. Now he's all around and he's listening to what Tibbs is saying. And especially when you got those leaders in Derrick Rose and Todd Gibson there to tell you, hey, this worked. Look at what we did back in the day. We were just a few things away from a shot from beating the Heat and going into the finals. We can do it. And once you buy onto that program and you get guys that all around doing that, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah. Yep. We definitely touched on the Bulls or whatever. And we, like I said, I mean, I wanted to talk about if they're making a playoff would be something that we want to see, or do we just go ahead and look forward to hopefully getting that 4th pick? But we run it press for time right now. So we're going to go ahead and go talk about the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs. It's been an up and down season, man. I mean, Marcus, your Sox, I mean, came up with an injury. What's going on? How long? Because I don't know the guy. Because like I said, I'm not a Sox fan, but I know you guys got an injury, injured player. Give us a rundown. What's going on?
This isn't just an injury to Luis Robert. This is one of those take the sail out of your sailboat. It's a sinking injury. It's one of those guys where and I don't want to be too presumptuous or anything like that, but he's Mike Trout-esque. And I'm not even exaggerating this said. I know we probably joke a lot on the program, but there's nothing this guy can't do in the field. Mm-hmm. Nothing. On the base paths, at the plate. And for him to go down, you hope that it would be maybe a couple of weeks or something that he tweak. Mm-hmm. But they're saying 12 to 16 weeks. That's 3 to 4 months. Now you have Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert, two of your most talented. These are the reasons why, single-handedly, them two and Moncada. These are the reasons why they said the Sox had the best farm system when those guys were down there. Those are the guys. And now you collectively, between those two, you got maybe 80-something home runs, 70-something home runs, 150 RBIs just gone from your lineup, man. It doesn't get any more deflating than that. You figure you can deal with the Jimenez injury because Engel will be back at some point. But now you have two guys who are projected to be your like centerpieces. They're gone. So our depth is going to be tested now. We're going to have to win games with our pitching staff. They're going to have to step it up. Jose Abreu, the reigning MVP, he's going to have to come out of that funk. To his credit, he usually starts slow. But we'll see if he can get that turned around. But guys are just going to have to step it up. Tim Anderson, he's turned it around a bit. And so has Moncada. But right now, the Minnesota Twins, they're sleeping, but they are giants. And we have to be, they're not going to be down for so long. So this is not coming at a good time right now. We're going to have to turn this thing around. I don't know how.
I think you guys,
we're in trouble.
I think you guys, if they could find a way to make a trade, they got to get somebody. I mean, because we know these guys coming back, but even when they come back, how dominant they're going to be. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to be winded and stuff like that. They got to get back in the groove. Timing it, the timing on the swinging. Baseball is a little different than basketball. You know what I'm saying? So the timing on the swinging, everything is timing. You know what I'm saying? So
guys are just going to have to step up, man. It's Lamb. These guys, they just got to step up, man. You got to. We found a diamond in the rough with Yermin and Mercedes. That right there was good for the Jimenez absence. Now what are we going to do? Because the Mercedes is not an everyday, or he doesn't play the field. Mm-hmm. So now what are we going to do? Left and center field. But what are we going to do? Guys simply are going to have to step up. If we're going to win the division. Season in it right now, got a wild card. That's good. But the Minnesota Twins are coming. You know what I have to say? The British are coming. The British are coming. The Minnesota Twins are coming. I don't care what you say. They are coming.
What you think, Tim?
Man, with that injury, that's a sucker punch to the gut. Because the White Sox had a good homestand. You know what I mean? Like they've been doing their thing, and losing a guy like that, not only do you lose defense, which is a big key, you lose a bat in that lineup. I think that, again, we talked at the beginning of the season, the Sox being one of the most complete teams in baseball. I think once Engel comes back and they got that kid Vaughn that's been playing left field, he's getting better every game. I think the White Sox are still going to be there. Like you said, the pitching now is going to have to step up and basically lead this team for the next couple of months. Do I think I see Rick Hahn making a move? I think he's already on the phone trying to figure something out to bring another bat in to help these guys. They got Billy Hamilton that can play defense in center field. He's a speedster on the base path. So you lose the bat from, Luis Roberts and his defense, but you got viable guys that, like you said, Marcus, they got to step up. It's time now to step up and improve that this is why you're on the big league team. This is why you're here with the White Sox. But the pitching, that right there, first and foremost, has to start with the bang, and they have to get it going. At 1 through 5 has to be dominant. And here or there, you're gonna take some L's. But if you can keep the course, what they're doing, and keep winning games and winning series, and getting those guys back at the end, that's fresh legs for the playoffs.
Right. Definitely agree with that, man.
Yeah, I mean, because right now, Marcus, I mean, they calling for Tony La Russa. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his name started to come up. Like, I mean, is he past his time or whatever? You know what I'm saying? What you thinking?
I think whenever a team, and I don't care what sport you're in, whenever a team doesn't meet a certain expectation, it's always going to be, what is the coach, what is the manager doing? I think for now, let's pump the brakes on that. Mm-hmm. It was all good last week when we had won 8 out of 10 or whatever. Now, when Luis Robert goes down, and when I tell you the air went out of the ballpark, and we lost. We didn't score a run. So now let's find somebody to blame. Injuries, defense has haunted the Sox.
Yeah, it's
not a La Russa issue. Sure, he could have taken Giolito out sooner in one game. Sure, he could have maybe inserted a guy, took somebody out of the lineup late in the inning because we need a different bat. That's any manager in the game. But in its totality, earlier on, we have been horrific defensively. There's no doubt about it. So I would say let's pump the brakes on the La Russa. I saw the articles there, getting impatient with. I mean, let's pump the brake on that. Before players can get impatient in the dugout, let's whittle these errors down. Let's hit the ball. There's one game, Detroit Tigers had 5 errors. Yeah. We lost that game. I guarantee you, I put every penny I got, which is not much. Go through the history of baseball. There's probably a 80-something% win clip of teams who had 5 errors. I bet the opposing team won 80% of those games. Why didn't we win that game? We're not hitting. We have to get out of this funk. That's not a La Russa issue. That's an on-the-field issue. Yeah. It's not a management or personnel issue. So the White Sox are going to have to turn it around themselves. If there are tight games and La Russa he makes a decision and he blows it, and there's a bunch of those, then but it hasn't been a bunch of those. But the majority of the losses have been bad defense and the pitching getting rocked. So that's why I stand with that. Let's pump the brakes on the La Russa thing.
Okay. Well, the thing is that because I was watching the Sox game and I saw a pop up that went on the third shortstop side or whatever, and they kind of like ran into each other in the ball. I like, oh shit. I wanted to go in. I like, man, because
and you should have. You probably should have. Because these guys love running into the walls, man. I kid you not. Tim, are you seeing this? These guys run into the walls like, dude, you're gonna come in second every time against that wall.
Yep.
So, and what I want to talk about, because I mean, I'm going a little bit into the Cubs. It's not that much to talk about the Cubs because they up and down or whatever. Chris Brown is playing out of his mind. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. As far as money wise, do you sign? In the beginning of the season, I was like, let him go ahead and go trade him. But the way he's hitting right now, I think you got to bring him back because he's tearing it up. But what I wanted to talk about, because it's not really much to talk about the Cubs, I wanted to talk about Major League Baseball itself. Because we want to get a few minutes to talk about baseball because I want to get into the Bears. Definitely want to get to the Bears. This extra ending thing that they got going on in the 10th inning, starting off with a player at second base. You talked about it earlier, Marcus, in the group. And when I never witnessed it, but when you said it, I was like, oh, Mark, he's tripping. But when I actually saw it yesterday, I was like, Kimber is pitching real good for the Cubs. You know what I'm saying? ERA, I think, was at 0 or whatever. But he comes in with a man on second. Now he ended up losing a game for something that he didn't give up. He didn't give up a hit. Well, he gave up one hit that brought the run in, but that makes no sense at all. So what you guys think about the extra inning thing?
You go, Tim. I'll come behind him on that one.
I'll say excuse my French on it, but it's pussy ball. You get some of these baseball players. I understand 180 game season or 162 game season, long haul. They did it to speed up the game because games would go so long, 19, 20 innings, and they would use up all their pitchers and guys get tired. But you guys are making big bucks. Like, suck it up. That's why you have a bench. That's why you utilize your pitchers and everything smart. I think it's the stupidest idea because you're right. Because if you got a guy like Kimbrel who's been pitching lights out lately, and let's say this is end of the season, this is the make or break to get into the playoffs. And let's start a guy out at second base, and a guy comes in and gives up a single. Guy scores, this game over. I don't think that's right. I think is that you need to go through the 3 outs to get your guys up, the next 3 up the bat, and win it that way, and let the pitchers duel it out. If you got to use your whole bullpen and Anthony Rizzo's got to pinch at the end of the fucking game to strike people out, then so be it. You have all these athletes. You're carrying 12 to 13 pitchers. You got guys on the bench. Let these guys play out. Let them go their 9 innings and then start getting guys in to hit. I understand situational baseball, but I think it's the stupidest thing they've ever done in Major League Baseball.
You're not earning it. They're not earning the win. You didn't do enough. You didn't do nothing to get on base. You didn't do nothing to get on second base.
It goes against. I mean, you can almost say for centuries now, literally. Earned runs has been an important part of pitchers going to All-Star games, pitchers winning the Cy Young. So now let's put a run on second base. I mean, even as stupid as that is, if you're going to do that, then adjust the amount of outs that you have to get them in. Okay, 2 outs. Since you're narrowing things, okay, 2 out extra innings, 2 outs overtime, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Think about it this way, because the inning has to start with the person who made the last out. That's who you put on second base. So what if that was my 6th hitter? Got to put your 6th hitter on base. So now you have to bet with your 7th, 8th, and 9th batters. Historically, those guys have the lower percentage in the front end batters. Mm-hmm. Now, you wasn't successful in your half of the inning because, darn, I had to get this run in with my 7th, 8th, and 9th batters.
Right.
But in my half of the inning, I had to put my 9th batter on a pitcher's mound. I'm at the top of my lineup with Tim Anderson, then Yohan Moncada, and Jose Abreu. I have an advantage over you in my half of the inning. People say, well, that's not an advantage because you get him on second base, I get him on second base. It's an advantage if I'm in the heart of my lineup, you're in the end of your lineup, because the end of your lineup is probably betting 240. My top of my lineup is betting 270 something. Right. It's a clear advantage to me. So it's not baseball, it's baseball adjacent. Yeah. It should use the term is T-ball.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. If you, like we said in the group earlier, if the game is too long, leave or turn it off. But baseball is baseball, and you cannot modify what the actual game is just for the sake of getting it over with. That's ludicrous to me. Yeah, I can even get with the 7th inning thing. At least you're not giving somebody a run. That's the worst thing to do. Automatically put a runner on second base without having to earn it.
By far,
I'm not for it. Now you see what I'm saying. And White Sox have lost more games probably than anybody that way. I hate it. Sorry.
My thing is this: if you're gonna put a guy on second base, and this is how you want to speed up the game, maybe you need to go through your guys 1 through 9 and the first 9 innings and be like, well, why the hell are you not hitting the ball? Why aren't you doing your job? Instead of, because you're right, because let's say teams are at advantage. If my 9th guy goes on, and I'm a Cubs fan, and my 9th guy was the pitcher, and I got one, 2, 3 guys coming up, man, he's got to go on second base. I can easily put a pinch runner in who's got tons of speed and either can change the game with a stolen base or a single hit, costs us a game and it's game over. If you're going to do that, then why not make it college rules? Then if the team that does it at the bottom of the 10th inning, and except going for the win, why not give the team one more chance to do it with a guy at second base? Because I don't think it's right in the first place. Baseball has always been baseball. Baseball is in the past, you had guys going 25, 26 innings, where you had guys back in the day like the Satchel Pages, the all those other guys before that were pitching, the Wally Johnsons, the Wally Fingers, guys pitching 13 innings to win a game. And then
Sandy Koufax,
Sandy Koufax, those guys, Tom Severs, guys pitching their ass off and their arms out to get games. But at the same time, like you look at nowadays, these guys are popping home runs like it's water balloons. But it's like, if you can't score to win, if you can't get those runs early in the game and have your closer set it up, then there's a problem with who's out there, and you need to address the situation before you try to speed the game up. Baseball has been around for centuries. Baseball has been baseball. The rules, we all grew up understanding how the game was played. Why are you modifying it now? Because
you're asking the commissioner's office to win the game for you. Yeah. Something that they hadn't done in 9 innings. Hey, commissioner, can you decide this for us?
Right.
You're making it too easy. They're making it too easy. You start a guy on second base, like you said, Tim. What happens if it was naturally your pitcher is up the bat? You put him on second base. Your leadoff hitter probably could bunt him to third. You know what I'm saying? And then you got two your second and your cleanup hitter, or not your cleanup, your third hitter. If they don't bring them in, I mean, it's not fair. It's just not fair at all.
Balanced.
Yeah. Like I told you, Marcus, I said what they should do is, if they want to speed up the game, you hit a home run. Why run around a goddamn base? Why run around a base? Okay, you hit a home run, sit your ass down. I mean,
I say what they should do it like hockey. It goes into overtime. If it goes into overtime, they play their 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, and after that they have a shootout. Why not, if it goes into the 10th inning, take the 3 best hitters from each team and have a home run derby? Runs, guess what? Game over with.
Right.
I mean, they earning it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So, bad. But like I said, I mean, we pressed for time. We about to get off the Sox. We got to get into our beloved. I mean, they keep on bringing us back in, man. They keep on bringing us back in. Let's talk about the Bears, man. They had a good draft. I don't know football. I don't know college football, but I do know what I'm seeing on YouTube and these analysts talking about the Bears. They gave him an A on the draft. So let's get into the first. I want to work our way from the back all the way to number 1, the grand finale. So the first, I mean, this guy didn't get picked up during. He did get picked up in the draft. But he got picked up as a free agent, and that's Charles Snowden. Wait, hold on, let me put his name up there so you guys can see it.
That's not Tonga.
No. He actually got drafted. He actually got drafted. This guy right here, he's a linebacker. I posted this video up in a group. Kind of thin guy, you know what I'm saying? But from what I'm saying, he's real fast and quick. Now, like I was telling Tim in the pre-show that. Well, he was telling me that, I mean, he's quick and he's gonna bulk up. We both say he, put him in the right system with the team or whatever. He bulk up, he's gonna be a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? So, Tim, I know you know a little bit more about the college football life or whatever. So, give us a rundown of what you know about this guy.
Well, I know this guy opted out last year and didn't play, but he was a guy that was a sleeper that went undrafted. And I believe they were saying he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, possibly a late second round, because he has the motor. Yeah, he's a little thin, but he's got technique and he's got great hands. And he knows how to fight and get around things. I think the guy, like we said in the beginning, if he bulks up, he reminds me of a young Aldon Smith. And Aldon Smith was thin, but when he got with San Francisco in that Vic DeFangio system, he bulked up and he became a terror. Even though he had off the field problems, the guy was a nightmare you had to worry about. I think this kid coming in with Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, he can learn from them, bulk up, and learn the system. And I think that this is a kid that the Bears got in undrafted free agency that is going to speak volumes and is going to bring a lot of noise upcoming this year and the years to follow. The kid is an athlete. When you watch his highlight film and you see some of the things he does, you just sit there and you're like, oh my, wow. This kid is serious. And I'm glad that he's coming over here with us. And you know what? I like the direction what they went with this kid. There's a couple other guys they picked up in the free agent draft that are going to wow you. That a couple guys that opted out, like the tight end from Stanford, he opted out. He's a kid of Jimmy Graham. They don't re-sign Jimmy Graham. This is a guy that can come in and play that H-back position, block. He can catch, and he's quick, and he was utilized. And You know what I mean? Again, another guy that opted out for the year, and that was probably it could have been a 5th or 6th round pick in the draft, is what I was hearing from Mel Kiper and them. But hey,
we got him.
Drafted free agency. I'll take that.
Right. Marcus, I mean, I know you have. I know this is part. I just popped this up on you or whatever. But I mean, to get another linebacker, I mean, you probably gotta watch this footage or whatever. But even with the linebacker that you have mentioned, and we ain't even talk about Raekwon Smith. Raekwon Smith is a quick guy as well. When I looked at this footage of this guy, you put them guys on each end, I think you're gonna have you're not gonna be able to get no running game going.
Well, I think you have to look at what management is doing now. Suddenly makes sense. Mm-hmm. Of course, you figure, okay, why would we acquire this guy? Then today we release Leonard Floyd, who was actually scheduled to make this year $14 million in signing bonuses, mm-hmm. and then next year $18.5 million. So he makes sense now. You get a younger guy who right now you don't have to pay much because you have 3 quarterbacks now who 2 of them already have guaranteed money, and one of them you're going to have to break the bank with them if everything pans out in Justin Fields. You got Andy Dalton, you got Nick Foles, so the picture is painted a little bit more. Getting rid of Leonard Floyd and acquiring.
Wait! Leonard Floyd been out. He went with the Bears last year. He was with Rams. So they got Quinn.
Quinn was released.
They released Quinn?
No, they released Charles Leno.
That's who I meant.
Okay.
That's the linebacker. Thank you for the correction. That's the linebacker who was released today. And with that money that they're getting off the books, so excuse me for that, Leno.
Yeah.
With the money that they're getting that they're letting off the books, it just makes sense to go younger now. So now all that money is going to be deferred to more important pieces, because the Bears can ill afford to screw up this future, what we hope Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. So I think it's a good move. It's just the picture comes a little bit more in focus right now as to what they're doing.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with him, because hopefully, because some of these guys that get undrafted, they don't make the team, they be on a practice squad or whatever, and they just linger around or whatever. Then some other team picks him up. But this guy right here, when I saw his footage or whatever, hopefully he stays on court with the Bears, because I like his footwork and he's real fast or whatever. Now we're about to get into their top pick, not the top pick, but their last pick of the draft, and that's who you just mentioned, Marcus. He's a defensive tackle. What's his name? Chris Tunga.
Yeah, I just call him. I can't pronounce that
first name. Is it
his first name? It's I would say Kyris Tunga.
Yeah,
Chris Tunga.
So he's a defensive. He works the line or whatever. He's a big guy, and he's kind of quick. He's kind of quick for a big guy as well. So you put him in the middle with Hicks. Man, I mean, but they also got the defense is good. I mean, we just had to worry about like the secondary or whatever. But picking up this guy right here, and once again they said another sleeper. You know what I'm saying? So how's the Bears making this happen or whatever? You know what I'm saying? What I want to do this time, let's go with Marcus, and then we're gonna go with Tim.
Well, I think you got to credit the Bears GM, because I think being on a hot seat is what's making it happen. You apply pressure. When you say you're not coming back next year, both jobs are on the line, then you're playing with house money now. You got to trade up. You got to go for the home run. I mentioned the other day, you got to swing the bat to hit a home run. There's no more let's draft. You got to take a gamble. You got to get the sleeper. This guy's 325 pounds. I see he and Akeem Hicks wreaking havoc. Awesome pickup, if you ask me. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. In today's NFL, you can't just be passive. Mm-hmm. And I give this pick alone, as late as it was in the draft, a round 7 pick, excellent pick. Excellent pick for round 7. Remember, Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, so you can find a diamond in the rough in the 7th round.
Oh, you definitely can. If you look at the draft history of Ryan Pace and just his era alone, he has got some great draft picks later in the draft. And I'm not talking first, second round. I'm talking your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round guys that have come to this team and have made the equivalent. You look at Eddie Jackson, he was a 4th round pick. You look at Tariq Cohen, was a 4th round pick. You had, Robert Woods, the backup linebacker. He was a 7th round pick. Ingwa Dubui, whatever his name is, he's a special teams ace. He was a 5th round pick. You got guys in place, and this is another guy that adds a piece to the puzzle where you have Belai Nichols, you have Eddie Goldman, you have Hakeem Hicks. Now you got this young kid. You got Mario Edwards. You got the guy that you brought from the Cardinals as a free agent who was another guy in between there to fit that line system. And this kid can play the 3 technique, the nose, and the defensive end, which gives guys like Hakeem Hicks the time to spell, to catch a breather, Belai Nichols to catch a breather. And if injuries happen, it's guys that step up into the system that is good. This kid is great. He's another kid that's a sleeper that a lot of teams fell asleep on with the bigger names. But this kid at BYU produced week in and week out. And that's, I think, is a great pick. Being 325 and having movement like that, that plays a lot. If we all remember straight, the Bears' run defense was atrocious last year. This is another kid that solidifies that from a lot of runs that be happen against us.
Well, hopefully, like I said, hopefully everything pans out with this guy too. Because like I said, Mark used to say, "Hey, YouTube footage is not good because they only go show you the good, not the bad." But sometimes they will show you the bad. But if you look at that, if you look at somebody that you picked up, you don't really want to see the bad. You just want to see the good anyway. So,
he had some bad times. I think that the defensive line that he's going to with Hakeem Hicks is going to teach him the right way. He tends to get lazy and he tends to hand fight too much instead of just going to get it. If he's going with a guy that's going to get up on him and tell him, "Go get it. Don't worry about hand fighting. Go get it."
Right. So, like I said, the footage I saw on him looked real good. So let's move on to the next player. This guy right here.
Oh yeah.
This guy right here.
This is my guy.
Thomas Graham.
Yeah.
Hey. When I saw the pick, I don't know college. As soon as they pick him, I go right to YouTube. And I start
it's okay.
Like, what?
It's okay. If I'm saying if there is a questionable pick, it would be him because there was no 2020 season. But prior to that, he played 39 straight games. So he has experience to be a cornerback. But what that says about a player is like Patrick Williams, who was Transcend Sports. Not playing that much, you have the physical tools. You don't have to. You didn't have to have played a whole season, or as the case with Graham, or in the case with Patrick Williams of Transcend Sports, he only played he didn't start. This is where scouting and management comes in and say, okay, we're going to still take a chance on this kid because we see the speed. This guy can defend. This guy can keep up with the best of the wide receivers. So you got to see what's going to happen with him. I think coming in at 6, I don't think he's going to be guaranteed to start, being a 6 spot. He's going to need to earn it. He's going to need to earn it and show that he belongs on the field. And we'll see what's going to happen with him, given the space that he took and not playing. So it's a question mark on him, although I still like the pick.
What you got, Tim?
I like the kid. I think he's one of the biggest steals of the draft because even though he opted out of the 2020 season again, a lot of people did. This kid was guaranteed to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick, and to fall at the back end of the 6th round, the last pick of the 6th round, I think the Bears got to steal. This kid's got great technique, great footwork, can stay with the best of the best. If I remember straight, back in 19, he played a game against USC and was guarding Amma St. Brown, who was a pick, I believe, went to the Vikings or Carolina. And Amma St. Brown is a damn good receiver. And this kid put him in his pocket and said, hey, you're going to have a rough day today. Even though you want to be a top receiver, I'm going to show you what I can do. I think he fits well into the system of, he may not start right away because you have that, but I think he's a kid that if you're going to hang on to a 5th or 6th DB, this is the kid you want, because not only can he contribute on special teams, which he did with Oregon, he's a great cover corner in the slot, and you can put him outside if there's injuries. And we already know we got Duke Shelley, we got Kindor, or Vito, whatever his name is, and then this kid comes along. I think the Bears secondary will be good with this kid. I think this kid is a solid pick, and I'm telling you, I'm willing to throw it out there that this kid is a sleeper pick. Watch out for Thomas Graham. I'm telling you, this kid is something to watch. If he didn't opt out, I guarantee you see this kid picked up earlier in the draft by some team, because he is a ball player.
Well, I'm glad they picked him up. Like I said, the footage I saw of him looked real good, and now that we don't have Fuller, even though like you say he probably won't start, we got depth now. You know what I'm saying? If he hangs around. Now this guy right here, Dez Newsome, I saw him as well. Like I said, once we pick up players, I end up just looking at the footage.
He's my question mark pick.
But the thing is with him, I when I saw him, and I was like, he's doing a lot of yapping. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I hope he's good, because I don't want him to be like Anthony Miller, doing a yapping and then get kicked out of games, costing us games. You know what I'm saying? So I know you guys maybe saw Dez highlights. What you guys think of him?
We need I said the other day, we need that T.O. type
that dog
battle Chosinko. We need a guy who can at least talk crap. I'm tired of us being this image perfect franchise. I mean, even if he doesn't live up to it, talk, man. Muddle it up a little bit. I think he'll be a good slot receiver in this case. Robinson is going to be the number one. So clearly he's going to be a slot, but I think you'll see him initially as a return guy. Remember 10, 12 years ago, the Bears was like so feared in the return. I think we need a return to prominence in the special teams. I think you'll see him there first. But as Justin Fields get more reps, as these guys grow together in training camps, then he'll become a number two at that time. But right now, I'll say he's going to be work well in the slot. It's a good opportunity for him to be in the slots.
Yeah. What you got, Tim?
I think that he's not bad. Don't get me wrong. He's not a bad receiver. He had a great quarterback thrown into him in North Carolina. I think their quarterback next year is going to be a first round top 10 pick. Kid's got wheels. The kid's got good hands. Runs good routes. I think the problem is we all thought that about Anthony Miller, and I think it's the same model. Don't get me wrong. I want a guy that talks shit all day, but I don't need a guy who's going to throw punches and cost us, being kicked out and shit.
Right.
Be an Ocho Cinco, be a Terrell Owens, and run your mouth and piss these guys off, but produce at the same time. And I think that he has a chance to do that, because I still think that I see them trading Anthony Miller and getting him out of here. And I think this is a kid that might be able to step up into his role. I think Javon Wims and I think may be gone, but the guy I want to see is Calvin Ridley. I want to see Riley Ridley.
Yeah.
From hearing from what his brother has said, the kid is phenomenal, but I don't think we gave him an opportunity. I think this kid makes the team. Could be a kick returner, eventually being a part of that young core. But we also forgot we got Marquise Goodwin, who's a burner that, hell, we toss up the ball, he's going to go run it down.
Yeah.
I think this kid, he's got to get into the room with Allen Robinson and them and to figure it out like, hey, I can still run my mouth, but if I'm going to run my mouth, I need to produce on the field and get to that point. Then I can start doing that. I think he's a good fit with the offense we have. I just have a question about his mental awareness on how to, to control it a little bit, to the point of we don't want an Anthony Miller. We want you to be you,
right.
And produce. I get, like I said, he's my question pick of the draft. but I like the kid. I think he's a great football player, and I think he's going to help the Bears out tremendously down the line and maybe in the next year or two.
Okay, we're gonna speed it up a little bit. We're gonna go through the running back they had picked up, which was Khalid Herbert. Once again, saw highlights of him. Looks pretty decent. And once again, every pick they pick, it's like everybody's like, "What? How did they get him?" It's like, what's really going on? I mean, he's a running back, and they say he's one of those. And I like running backs like him that if it's not there, he's gonna go somewhere else. He's not going to force his way into anything. He observe everything and he find the hole and he go right through it. So and he got speed. He got breakaway speed. I mean, I think that's what the Bears need. And then Cohen coming back, this is going to be something. The offense is going to be something to watch.
Well, you got that's he's a good pick because I wholeheartedly believe that at 217 pick, by far he was the best player that was on the board. Mm-hmm. Like you said, he does have the breakaway speed. He has the size, but again, the problem is can we get him on the field? You got David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, Damian Williams. Now we 4 deep in running backs, so he's gonna have to earn it, just like the other guys. He's gonna have to earn playing time, but you can't question the pick because the old rule, the old adage in any sport, get the best player available on the board.
Agreed. I like the kid. I like him. I think he adds that special awareness that you have. Like he's a mixture of all the running backs that we have. He's got the speed, not as fast as Cohen, but he can get loose. He's got the toughness like Montgomery, and he's like Damian Williams in a way. So the kid is the best of all three. I think he makes the team, and he also can kick return and punt return, because I think you're going to take Cohen out of that role for now because of you don't want to risk him getting injured again. And I think it fills the void right there. But I think the problem they said about this kid is he doesn't catch well in open field. I think they said his hands was a bit of an issue. But again, it's a lot of running backs that come in the league are not really considered they can catch the ball. They just want to run downhill and run through you. But I like the pick. I think he's a good pick at where we got him at, and I'm liking it so far.
Okay, so because we're pressing, and I definitely want to have some time to talk about the first pick or whatever. But the offensive tackle that we had picked up,
we'll combine these next 3 and 2 then.
Right. We'll combine these two right here. You know what I'm saying? So we have Travian Jenkins. They just said these 2 guys are dogs. They just said they when they block you, they're gonna lay on you, and they do everything.
Listen, that kid Kevin Jenkins is a first-round draft pick that fell to the Bears in the second round. Even though we tried to get him,
I was just gonna say that.
Hey, listen, that kid, the comment he made, I've never heard a lineman say that like this. He goes, I may be your friend, I may like you, but when it's game day, I'm going to attack you. I'm going to hit you. I am going to do things to you to piss you off.
Wow.
That's what I like to hear right there. That's a mauler. That's a kid with attitude that comes to the Chicago Bears team instead of the last 2 jackasses we had at tackle, Massey and Leno, who didn't have an ounce of violence in them. We get a guy now that's going to hit you in the mouth, and he's going to talk to you while he's doing it too. That's what I like to see. The kid is a beast. Hands down, I think he was my top 4 linemen that I wanted to get. I know the first 2 guys, Sewell and Slater, they weren't going to get, but I was hoping this kid, before they made the miraculous move, right. I thought he was the pick at 20, and I was cool with that. But to get this kid in the second round like they did, amazing. And the other kid from Missouri he's a mauler too. So I'm liking what they did going young and getting guys in there that can fluctuate with this offensive line now. I like it.
Okay, go ahead, Marcus. I'm gonna bring the other guy up. I'm still here, so
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, Kevin Jenkins is a week 1 starter. It's just that simple. He's a week 1 starter. I mean, if I could do a show of hands of people that's out there listening and watching, how many of you all would have been happy had Justin Fields not been available and we just got this guy as our first round pick? I would have. Because for one, he feels the positional need. We so badly needed an offensive tackle. It's not even funny. And for this guy to be this animalistic, he's a week 1 starter, but we got him 2nd round. That's what's crazy about it. We got this guy 2nd round. And then to add on, we pick up Borum, the Missouri offensive tackle. So we not only get a guy in 2nd round who, in my opinion, is a week 1 starter, we pad the need that we need. We beef it up even more by picking Borum in the 2nd round, 151st pick. So this is why you're seeing most pundits, most experts saying the Bears had the best draft, because we not only got a positional need, we got guys that fell to us. Because so many people trying to trade up or trying to get quarterbacks, that these guys fell in our lap. And this and said, you said earlier, like, man, how are we getting these guys? And I said last week, well, this is probably the deepest draft that we've ever seen. I know this, I can remember in a long time. Yeah. So we're getting guys, it's twofold: positional guys and guys who slid that should have been in the 1st round. They're Chicago Bears now. So welcome to Chicago, man. I have no complaints.
It was another thing that Jenkins said that I like what he said. Like you said, Tim, he said some stuff. I was like, wow, I ain't never heard nobody like somebody out of college coming out saying this. He said, my job is to keep my quarterback clean. Never heard that before from an offensive tackle coming in.
No, you get to some of these offensive tackles, and you talk to them. Like I was listening to it on the draft day when guys got said, oh yeah, my job is I got you, quarterback. Don't worry about this. This guy came out and said, listen, my job is to keep him clean. That's what I'm going to do. If you don't like me, I don't give a rat's ass. And right there, that tells me, hey, this kid, plug him in tomorrow, and he's ready to push somebody and block somebody for whoever's quarterback, Dalton, Foles, Justin Fields, me, you, or Marcus. It don't matter. The kid's gonna perform. You know what I mean? So
I'm looking forward to him. I'm
looking forward to him. Like I agree with Marcus. He's a day 1 starter, and I think Ifedi starts on the other side, because Ifedi showed that he was pretty good. Yeah. And I know they picked up that kid from Denver who's a fucking animals himself. Kid's like 6'8" or something like that. But you know what I mean? So I like that we, like you said, we picked up depth. We picked up positions that, are gonna solidify this team down the road.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
so if we didn't get a quarterback, we needed an offensive tackle. So we got both. Crazy.
Yo, that brings us to this guy right here, the grand finale right here. The grand finale. Yo, what they did, what they said, I didn't even know they was, because I was talking to my cousin on the phone, you know what I'm saying, just checking up on me. So it was time for the Bears to pick. I said, wait, 13, wait, no, 11. I said, 11? I said, no, they got the 20th pick. But I saw like Bears data trade. I was like, we got to be going for a quarterback. And I've been thinking about this guy from day one, because I know the other guys, they was talking about they was going to go 1, 2, and all that stuff. I said, and when they say he started slipping, I said, we need this guy. We need this guy. We need a quarterback. So when y'all got what was you doing? What was you doing when you heard the pick and when you found out the pick? Let's start with whoever want to start.
Listen, man. Like last week's show, I'm thinking they're trading up to get an offensive tackle because they got Andy Dalton. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. But like I said earlier in the show, this is do or die for Bears management. This is do or freaking die. So when you saw him on the board still, you was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's so many reasons why they had to get him. The biggest reason was you could ill afford another Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. That's reason number one. The second reason is this guy have the tools. He can run. His accuracy. All the things that y'all said were knocks against Trubisky. Trubisky could run, but the accuracy part, going through the reps, the poise. This guy is it. He was in the championship game. This guy is like, okay. And remember I said, one of the questions that you asked last week, what do we see the Bears doing? I said, the question is, do they have enough stock? That was my answer. Do they have enough stock to move up? The examples I gave was, we was trying to get Russell Wilson, so we threw Khalil Mack out there, we threw Akeem Hicks out there. So the Bears came out of their butts with this, man. They moved up and they got it done. They got the guy. Just like I just argued, how many of y'all would have been happy with us picking the offensive lineman in the first round? I would have. But instead, we got him. How many people would have been happy if they would have got? How many other teams would have been happy if they had got Fields in the first round?
A lot.
And they didn't get him. We got him.
Right.
He could have came out top 3, top 5, actually, but he fell down to us, and it's the steal. That is why we got an A+ in the draft. Single hand. We've got all the positional needs, and we got a guy that can potentially be a franchise quarterback. Do not screw this up.
Right. What you got, Tim?
Man, listen, I was on the phone with my brother, and I had saw that. I watch the draft every year, so I follow it rounds 1 through 7. Mm-hmm. And when it came up to Carolina, I've heard all week about Carolina wanted a quarterback, and I'm like, shit, they're gonna grab somebody here.
Right.
And they went with the cornerback, and I'm like, okay. Denver came up. Denver was another team talking about it. But I think what happened is the whole thing that's talked about now is the Aaron Rodgers deal.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I think when Aaron Rodgers came out and said he didn't want to come back, and then you heard 49ers, Denver, and the Raiders. And I was like, then I heard like Denver was like, in the midst of talking about trades and all that stuff. And I was like, man, wouldn't this be some shit if they Green Bay traded up, picked up, whoever, and then whatever. But then he went Patrick Surtain. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? Then Dallas moved back, and I'm like, and then 10, my guy Devonta Smith went to Philly, and I was like, oh, man, I'd love to see him in the Bears uniform.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting there, and I'm on the phone with my brother, and I'm like, yeah, the Giants are picking next. I'm waiting for the Bears. What do you think they're going to do? And all of a sudden it flashes across the screen, Bears selection, and I'm like, hold on. I started having flashbacks of, shit, we did this once before, and we took What are we doing here? And I thought Rashawn Slater, the tackle from Northwestern, I'm like, I wouldn't mind him either. But what the guy did is the guy read
Mac
off
Jones.
Yeah, the guy read off of what the Bears gave up, and he never included the first round pick at 20. And I'm like, oh shit, did we get the 13? We got 11 and 20? Okay. And I'm sitting there, and I'm on the phone. I'm like, man. And then then the guy goes on, they gave up the 20th. I'm like, all right. And then my brother's on the phone, and I'm like, please, let's do something here. Do this. My brother's like, we got him. I'm like, who? And the commissioner's talking, and I'm like, shut the F up, man. My brother, we got him. And he goes, my brother had Bleacher Report, so they said it right away. And he was like, hey, we got Justin Fields. I was like, hold on, let me make sure, because this is ESPN.
Right.
And they said it. And I screamed like I was at Soldier Field. I was like, gosh, we finally did it. We did the right thing. And Tiny was like, you really screaming at this point? Yes, I'm a Bears fan. I've watched too many of this crap. We finally got it right in the first round and got us a franchise quarterback. And then when Mel Kiper and all them are like, this is the steal. This kid is going to have a chip on his shoulder, just like Mahomes and Watson picked up later. I like this. I like this pick. I like this kid. I'm not a big Ohio State fan, but this kid's got the tools. And remember, everybody, he wasn't with Ohio State first off. He originally went to Georgia. He played 1 year at Georgia and then came over to Ohio State and ran that team and put that team on his shoulders. And, hey, as a Bears fan,
now, but here's the question now. Because they got Andy Dalton, this put us in a position. What I'm gonna start with you, Tim. Do you start him right off the top?
No. I think that you have to bring him along and let him sit behind Dalton, because Dalton is a serviceable quarterback that can teach him the games. I've been hearing that the Bears are going to trade Nick Foles, and I heard the Jets are going to take him so he can work with the young kid Wilson.
Okay.
But I think that you have to bring this kid along slowly, because, again, you don't want to mess it up, because you don't want to be that you throw him out game one, he gets sacked and he blows out his knee, and we're like, oh, shit, here we go. I'd rather see it that
just mess up his confidence.
I think you have to bring him in gradually in the NFL. It's not like the NBA where you can start a kid like that right off the bat and he's going to produce. NFL is totally different. Like, it's a performance-based league. And I think that, you got to look at Mahomes sat behind, Alex Smith for a year or two and learned the system right away and took off with it. Deshaun Watson was a first-day starter because Houston didn't have anything, but he excelled. But he got hurt his first year, he tore his ACL, so he was out for the rest of the year.
Okay.
You gotta play it smart with a kid like this, like in Jacksonville. They're saying that Lawrence may not start. Gunter Minshew is going to be the starter until Lawrence is ready to take over. Look at Aaron Rodgers, sat behind Brett Favre for years and did his thing. You know what I mean? So you have to, a franchise quarterback like that, you have to take it along slowly. I think if we're winning with Andy Dalton, he's going to sit. If we're not there, I think you see this kid probably start week 7, week 8.
I was going to say 7. Yeah.
You know, and to see what he can do from there. But you can't just give the keys to the castle right away to this kid. He's got to learn the system. He's got to know the offense. He's got to be what you envisioned for the first round pick that we have. Is the kid going to get out there? Only time will tell. If we see preseason, we'll see what he can do.
What you got, Marcus?
There's a couple of reasons why you bring him along. For one, you got to remember this is an Andy Reid playbook. That means it's intricate. You're going to have to learn that. For some of the same reasons Tim mentioned, you don't want him to get hurt. Being a kid that has to prove something right away, go and do something dangerous. Yeah. I can outrun. You get acclimated to the speed of the game. You're not going to outrun guys a lot of times. You don't know what you're in for yet. Let them see it. Let them stand on the sideline and see for a few games that, man, I was fast. These 300-pound guys are just as fast. So he got to acclimate himself to the speed of the game. Then he has to be cautious because any picks that he threw, these cornerbacks are lightning fast. These secondary, these safeties, they're lightning fast. You get to throwing picks, then that's going to be in your head probably for the rest of your career. So you don't want to rock his confidence. So I have to give him maybe by the second half of the first game. No, I'm just joking. I say that's just how excited I am for him to get out there, man, because I've never seen a franchise quarterback in my life, or at least one that we drafted. So I say about the 7th week, like Tim said, 6th or 7th week, if Dalton is not performing, you put him out there. But imagine this, man. Imagine this. If Aaron Rodgers goes to him, then you got Kirk Cousins, who is like, so. Yeah. You got Detroit.
Jared Goff.
Oh my God, you got him, and I mean the division seemingly would belong to us. We immediately would have on day one when he plays, we would have the best quarterback in the division. So just imagine that. I don't think even when McMahon was the quarterback, we were winning because of the defense. Has the Bears ever been able to say they had the best quarterback in the division? I think Cutler was talented, but when Cutler was here, Rodgers was here. Right. Prior to that, Brett Favre. Have we ever been able to say we're the best quarterback in the division? So, nope. Man, this is generational, man. I can't believe it, man. Just imagine that. Rodgers goes.
But I mean, I'm on a different field than y'all. I mean, I understand about the hurt. I mean, you can get hurt doing anything. You can get hurt in practice or whatever. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, why? I understand why wait, but I'm on the fence of why wait because we got a franchise quarterback. Now, if we didn't have Dalton, and just have Foles, who would you want to start then?
But you still got to remember that we're in a championship window, to speak. You can't put a kid out there. You got guys like Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks on the other side of the line. These guys are in win-now mode. In the NFL, there's going to always be a learning curve. And like I alluded to before, you have this playbook that, is a thick playbook. Nagy's playbook is. So you got to be a little bit, because there's a lot of things that Nagy wanted to do that he didn't do because Trubisky was at the helm. You saw it in spurts, but you didn't see it all the time. So you can't just throw this kid out there and expect him, okay, we got guys that's ready to win now. We're gonna put all this weight on your shoulder, and now you gotta pump the brakes, because even if you don't win in this window, you got a lifer. You got a guy that's young enough where you can still rebuild and then get more pieces around him. So you don't want to just, okay, we got a championship defense, let's put him out there now. You're going to have to be patient. Heck, it took us all our lives to get him, so why not be patient now?
But my thing is, if you got a thick book, we in May. How long it take you to learn a book? We in May, man. We don't play until August. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to tell them.
It's different. The game of football is different. Even though you got to go through the off season, you got to read the playbook. You're not getting out there right away until training camp. But in training camp, you're throwing against your defense that it's not even playing real defense. They're just out there and stand in front of you to get timing down. But then you get into preseason games, and the thing is Marcus is right. When he was in college, he's running the 4.40. He's out running linemen and DBs and safeties. These guys in the NFL are a whole different monster. You ask any professional football player that thought they were the shit in high school, minus maybe one person in Deion Sanders, that was like, oh yeah, I could do this. You get into that first game in the NFL, it humbles you real fast because you're right. When you can see a 300-pound lineman running next to you at the same speed you're going, you're going to crap your pants. You're going to be like, oh my God, where did this guy come from? Right. You know what I mean? And the thing is he is a franchise quarterback, and you need to keep it that way. Like I said, you look at most of the greats that are playing now in today's game, they sat behind somebody for a while and learned from those guys. Tom Brady wasn't a starter. It didn't happen until Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers
got the geese. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 3 years and learned from Brett Favre. So you got to learn from that. Like, just like Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, like I said. Yeah. But look what happened. This game is a learning curve. The first year, Mahomes was putting up 50 touchdowns. We're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. In the NFL, you give the NFL 1 year to learn from something. Teams pick up fast. Like when the Wildcat came out, teams were like, what the hell is this? Next year, teams ran the Wildcat, and the percentages went down on how good it was. Same thing with last year. Mahomes was having a great year, but then that Super Bowl, Tampa Bay figured it out and was like, we know what we're doing.
It's a copycat league, and nowhere in other sports they make the adjustment quicker than they do in the NFL.
So I think, like I said, you give this kid time. You get him. You see what he does in the preseason. If he wows right away, then we can revisit the conversation. But I think you have to give him the time because remember, we threw Trubisky in week 3, and we were like, oh my God, he won a game, and then all of a sudden, look what happened after that. We had 2 years of his trash. So,
but you know what? Let's say for instance, I'm gonna go in with this one. Bears 1-3, 0-3. Do you make the change, or you just wait it out again?
Depends on how you're losing games. It's circumstantial. Everything is a circumstance. If you got Dalton, and they may even go. If Foles is still here, they may even go to the second. You just don't want to just throw him out there because if you 0-3, now the pressure's really on to win.
Yeah,
and you rattle that quarterback where you're trying to get out a couple of games because you don't want to fall down 0-5. You're really screwed. There's no version in which you can create to just throw this kid out there because we lost some games. It's even more pressure on him at that point. So bring him along slowly, man.
But you got to think about by the coaches and pace jobs on the line. If they don't look good, I think that you can. I don't think Matt Nagy gets fired because this has Matt Nagy written all over this draft pick right here. This ain't Ryan Pace where I liked Mitch Trubisky because I saw him throw a game and he looked like Drew Brees. No, this is Matt Nagy because if you watch the pro days, Matt Nagy was in this kid's ear and talking to him constantly. And he said that this kid scored a higher IQ test than
anybody.
Mahomes. And this
anybody in history.
And Matt Nagy said he talked to him. He said, hey, what's this play? He talked to him earlier in the day and he goes, do you remember this play? And he right off the bat said it to him. This has got Matt Nagy written all over it. I think Ryan Pace will go after this year because of his problems. But I think if the Bears are still, in it or losing or whatever, I think this kid right here and the tackle saved Matt Nagy's job for one more year to get this kid ready to go and play. Now, if he does get put in, I think it's because maybe Andy Dalton has thrown like 15 picks before he threw a touchdown. So
right.
That might be the only thing. But Andy Dalton, I don't like Andy Dalton, but you know what? Andy Dalton may be able to get us to keep us in games with this championship pedigree defense that we do have. And if we can put up points and stay in games and we can win, I think that you bring this kid along slowly. Again, I'm not asking for, I want playoffs, but I'm happy with this and starting for next year and years to come.
Well, like I said, we're going to end it on that note because, like I said, because the players right now, they're excited. The players are even excited. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want to put them in there now. You know what I'm saying? I saw Eddie Jackson like, we finally got a quarterback. I bet Trubisky like, what the fuck? You know?
I damn near went searching to buy Super Bowl tickets already.
I know, right? But we just got to remember the excitement. We can run them out there day one. Management just has to be smart. Nagy, Pace, they just have to be smart about it, man. Take your time. You got time to develop the guy.
Yeah, we good to go, man. Like I said, man, we hit on a lot of things, a lot of Chicago sports, the Bulls, Bears, Cubs, Sox, man. Like I said, once again, another good show with you guys. I'm glad you guys came out once again. Tune in next week. We'll be back again. We'll see. Maybe they probably pick up some free agency. You know what I'm saying? We probably talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But once again, this is 3 Jerks present Ron T.M.C. Chicago Sports Talk with Marcus, Tim, and Sid, and we are out.